Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to be doing a murder minute video. So I'm going to start off this video with a trigger warning. This video is going to be discussing cannibalism and necrophilia. So if you find those triggering topics, I suggest you click off this video and tune into some of my more milder content located in other areas of my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the celebrity cannibal Issei Sagawa. Now I'm not quite sure if that's how you pronounce his name, but that's what I'm going to roll with. Issei Sagawa committed his crimes in 1981 in France, and we're going to discuss who Issei Sagawa was, what his crime was, and why he is considered to be the celebrity cannibal. Now Issei Sagawa is still alive as far as I know today, so this is going to be a living murderer that is still alive. He only committed one crime, but he is famous at this point. Now let's get into some of the background behind Issei Sagawa. We're going to discuss his background, we're going to go into his crime, and then we're going to get into what made him famous and some other interesting information about Sagawa. Issei Sagawa was born prematurely. He was so small that he fit into the palm of his father's hand, and as an adult he only reached the height of 5 feet tall. So he's relatively a small man. He was seen as being quiet, shy, but bright. Now, Issei Sagawa was 32 when he committed his crimes in 1981. When he committed the murder that he's famous for, it was shocking to say the least, but it did not surprise very many people in his family. Now, getting into a little bit more background behind Issei Sagawa, he stated that he had lurid fantasies early in life, as early as first grade. Now, first graders are generally like 5-6 years old. He stated that the sight of a classmate's thigh would spark his cannibalistic urges. Now, this is at 5 and 6 years old, so and these urges grew, but his urge was only toward women. Sagawa turned to bestiality with his dog to satisfy his sexual needs. Now, you gotta think, he was 32 in 1981, so he grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So his ideal woman was a Western woman, kind of. He looked toward Grace Kelly as the ideal woman. So when he was 23, so that was in the early 70s, he set his sights to a German woman who was living in Tokyo and decided that she was the woman that he was going to act out his fantasies on. So Sagawa stalked her to discover where she lived, and he watched her through her windows. Finally, one night, he broke into her home as she slept and decided that was going to be the night that he was going to act out his fantasies on this woman. Unfortunately, he did not succeed. Sagawa only wanted a small piece of her flesh as a prize. However, he was unskilled in his vision, and the woman heard him when he broke in. She was able to alert the police, and he was apprehended. He kept his true intention a secret, and he was arrested for attempted rape. Sagawa failed his entrance exam into the selective Japanese university after his stint with the legal system in Japan, and decided to move to France. Now, this was in 1977, and he was 27. So he was 23 when he committed his crime, he was 27 when he moved to France, so his legal stint with Japan was not very long. He decided to make a new life at the Sorbonne in France as a student of literature. On the surface, everyone just saw Sagawa as a PhD student in the literature program. But underneath the facade, Sagawa was surrounded by European women and unable to control his cannibalistic urges. Sagawa would bring home prostitutes, and his intention was he wanted to shoot the prostitutes and act out his cannibalistic urges on them. However, he failed each time, so hundreds of women passed through his apartment, not knowing exactly how close to death they were. Sagawa stated that his cannibalism even took a backseat to the ritual of just killing a girl no matter what. So he had just gotten to the point that he just wanted to kill someone. And it had to be a woman. He just wanted to kill them. In 1981, he had chosen a target. And they never named the female by her whole name. They just give her last name. But Sagawa considered himself ugly, weak, and small, but his target was Hartwelt, who was tall and beautiful. Now, they go into greater detail, and I've noticed most cannibals that you read about, they all have this same thing. Albert Fish, oh my goodness, my mind just went blank, but Albert Fish and, oh my gosh, what's his name? Jeffrey Dahmer, they all have the same thing. It's something about when they consume a part of their victim, it's like they're taking something from their victim into them. So Sagawa hoped by consuming her flesh he would absorb some of her energy, and that seems to be a lot of these cannibals. It's like they're absorbing something from their victim into themselves that they are lacking. It's kind of like a vampiristic kind of event in their mind. Anyway, Sagawa and Hartwelt were classmates, and they became close. Sagawa would invite her over to study, he would cook dinner for her, they would talk, they became very close friends. And he chose June 11th, 1981 as the day that the act would occur. So Sagawa called up Hartwelt, advised her that he needed help in translating a piece of poetry. Hartwelt thought nothing of it. They did this kind of stuff all the time. So she goes over to his apartment. She's sitting down at the desk and she's reading over the poetry, thinking nothing of it. Hartwelt pulls out the rifle, which is the same rifle that he had always intended to use on all these prostitutes that were coming in and out of his apartment. And he comes up behind Hartwelt and shoots her in the neck, which killed her instantly. But Sagawa was so shocked that he actually did it that he passed out. So he's kind of like really kind of a poor murderer, because he was just so shocked that he actually did it that he fainted. And when he came to, he was so shocked that he actually did it that he actually almost called the authorities and turned himself in. But then he realized, oh my God, I did it. I can actually do what I want to. So he raped Hartwelt's corpse and he attempted to bite into the flesh, but then he failed again because he couldn't even bite into her flesh. And so he had to leave the apartment to procure a butcher knife. So when he comes back, he starts by cutting into the buttocks, and then he's kind of shocked by how much fat is actually in the buttocks, which anybody with an actual butt knows that most of your buttocks is fat, but I digress. And he kept slicing into it until he got to the red meat, which he tears off with his bare hands and eats it raw. And he stated that his first taste of human flesh was a truly historic moment. And over the next 2 days, he removed and ate 15 pounds of Hartvelt's flesh. He stated that he only regretted that he could not have kept Hartvelt alive while he consumed her flesh. Not that he killed this poor girl, or that he killed his friend, or that he did these horrible things to her. The only thing he regretted is that she wasn't living while he was doing these horrible acts to her. So that was the only regret that Sagawa had for his actions. He feasted on human flesh for 2 days and even stored some in his refrigerator. At the end of the 2 days, he decided it was time to get rid of her body. So he had a master plan for this, because of course everything he's done to this point has worked out perfectly well. His master plan was, he had 2 suitcases. So he took her dismembered body and he put it in these 2 suitcases. He contacted a cab company and he decided he was going to take the body to the Bois de Boulogne Park because it had an isolated lake. He was going to take these 2 suitcases, he was going to slip them into that isolated lake for them to vanish into nothing, and he was going to be good to go. No problems. Well, we all know, Sagawa is not the brightest of criminals. He may be brilliant in other aspects of his life, but he was not the brightest of criminals. So, he contacts the cab, he makes it to the park. He gets the suitcases out of the cab and he's strolling along the park when passerbys notice that there's blood dripping from these 2 suitcases. So they contact the authorities. The authorities come along, and here's Sagawa with 2 suitcases full of a dismembered body. So, here we go. He immediately confesses to what he's done. They have him in possession of the body. They go back to his apartment. Boom, there's the murder scene. There's some more of her body in his refrigerator. And there you go. Wrapped up case, right? Wrong. Sagawa comes from a wealthy Japanese family. So, they hired a defense attorney, which put the trial off for 2 years. Now, thing about it is, France did have him locked up for those 2 years that they were waiting on the trial to come about. When he did come to trial, the French judge, Jean-Louis Bruguiere, deemed Sagawa legally insane, unfit for trial. So they ordered him to be held in a French mental institution indefinitely. But they dropped all the legal charges because they deemed him to be insane and unfit to stand trial. So the news started to spread of the crimes and what happened, and it spread all around the world. So France decided to have him deported back to Japan. Well, here's what ends up happening. They deport him back to Japan. He gets to Japan in the mental institution. The Japanese state, now this is August 12, 1986. They state that Sagawa is suffering from a sexual perversion that led to his crimes. That he was not mentally insane, he was just sexually perverted. So they could not hold him indefinitely. But due to the fact that France dropped all the legal charges, it sealed the files in France. So the French government could not pass all the legal documentation over to the Japanese government. So this led to Sagawa being able to legally check himself out of the mental institution. So Sagawa was able to walk free 5 years after killing a poor innocent girl. So, in 1986, Sagawa walked out of the mental institution and was free to roam the earth as he saw fit. And for 10 years after that, so from 1986 to 1996, Sagawa cashed in on his notoriety. He cashed in by being a guest speaker and a commentator on Japanese media shows. He also wrote and published numerous books about murdering Hartfeld. His works on his cannibalistic mind. He even had a collection of his artwork that was published. He even wrote restaurant reviews in Japanese magazines. Now that is just the epiphany of being sick. How many people are going to take the advice of a cannibal when they're thinking about a restaurant? I know I'm not going to, but I mean, that's just kind of sick in my opinion. But moving on. Sagawa stated that his sexual appetite is just an extension of a normal sexual desire in the following quote. It's simple a fetish. For example, if a normal man fancied a girl, he'd naturally feel a desire to see her as often as possible, to be close to her, to smell her, and kiss her, right? To me, eating is just an extension of that. No, eating means you're trying to kill her. It's also sick and disgusting, but I digress. In 1992, Sagawa appeared in a film. Now this is the translated title because there's no way in the world I can state the actual title, but the translated title was Unfaithful Wife, A Shameful Torture. Sagawa played a sexual predator and a voyeur, not far off from who he actually is. It did cause a lot of outrage because, again, he's profiting from his crimes. In 2011, Sagawa was interviewed by Vice magazine. And this is what really kills me. This quote right here just definitely gets under my skin, and it really aggravates me. Even with a life sentence, they give you clothes, food, and shelter in jail, plus they let you work. But if you're out in society, you have to somehow make a living and find a place to stay. What harsher punishment can there be? It's brutal. Oh my God, poor you. You have to actually do something and provide for yourself like the rest of us. But on top of that, you have the stigma of being a fucking murderer. Oh, poor you. I'm sorry. It just really aggravates me because this man killed a poor innocent girl, and then he's whining about the fact that he has to provide for himself. Oh, you poor darling. What about the girl that you killed? Sagawa also confessed to wanting to eat another woman before he dies. Now, I vaguely remember this simply for the notoriety of this. I didn't actually read this article, but I vaguely remember people talking about this. He left an open invitation for someone to come forward to be eaten or to kill him. The condition is that they have to be young and beautiful and a female. Sagawa stated that being killed by a young, beautiful woman would be his way to redemption. So what he did at the end of the article was he left an open invitation for a young, beautiful woman to come forward to either offer to be eaten by him or to kill him. And I remember because this caused a lot of buzz about the invitation part of the end of this article. People were talking about how odd it was and how weird it was, and it is odd and weird. Just, I mean, putting it out there. It's odd and weird, people. But I remember people talking about this back when this article came out. I never actually read the article, but I remember people talking about it because it was just one of those things of like, people are really messed up. Why would somebody come forth to do that? But he's not the only one that's put something out there like that. People put stuff like that out there because there are people out there that will do that kind of stuff. It's just strange. In 2013, Sagawa suffered a cerebral infarction which permanently damaged his nervous system. He is now in the care of his brother full time, which kind of leaves me at a little bit of peace because now he has to be cared for by someone else, which means he's not walking the earth on his own to do as he pleases. And like I said, to this day, I'm not sure if he's still alive, but I haven't seen anything that says that he's not. So he probably is, because this sort of evil just seems to kind of cling on. But that is the story of Sagawa. Issei Sagawa and his just kind of sick and demented type of ways. He became famous because he beat the system not once but twice, and he was able to get out of his crimes and walk the earth as a free man. He brutally murdered a woman and was able to get out through a legal loophole between two nations. And as abhorrent as that is, it happened and it made him famous, and he cashed in on that celebrity for several years and then whined about that after his notoriety ran out. But anyway, guys, that's the end of this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I am putting out more and more of these types of videos. And if you have a story that you would like me to cover, send me the details either in the description box down below, not in the description box, in the comment section down below, or look in the description box. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Also, my email's linked down below, and you can send all those details to me. I will cover that story and post a video about it. And if you're the one that sends me the details on it, I will shout you out in that video so that everybody knows that you were the investigator behind that video. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.